Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. O land of soft, fresh breezes and the verdant trees, so fair. Today is Monday, the 11th day of September 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, September the 11th, 2023, 22 years since that fateful day of September the 11th, 2001. An occurrence that changed the entire world, changed the entire world of travel, caused conflict, disruptions, everything else. Some of you may be saying to yourself, where was I when I heard the news of those planes crashing into the Twin Towers in the United States? And I'm sure that most of us can recall exactly where we were at that point in time. So Monday, the 11th day of September 2023, 22 years since September 11th. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, our young ones, our future, they are on our roads as well. They may be either walking to school, bicycling to school, or they may be in a school bus or in a vehicle with a parent or a guardian. Again, please operate as if you have one of your special loved ones in your vehicle or that they are around you as well. Not only will you save their lives, but the other life you save may just be your own as well. Those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that this segment of the For the Record birthday shoutouts is brought to you by Pizza Boat. They are now open in Queens Court and West Bay Road. So folks, hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. You can have your pizza delivered or you can pick it up. All you have to do is simply call 949-0000 or email www.pizzaboat.ky. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands. We wish you a speedy recovery as well. And right here at Radio Cayman, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to Mr. Jared Coe and his family for their loss as well. And just to say to Jared, our prayers, our thoughts and our prayers are with you, and the full support of the Radio Cayman staff is behind you and your family as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open, so you're welcome to call in. Of course, in the studio waiting to take your calls is none other than that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. So you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, that toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. We can also take calls from that number. Sorry. Only one call at a time on 925-3261. You can follow us on YouTube. You do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And of course, we are on Facebook as well. So let's see who is celebrating a birthday today, who may be celebrating a birthday tomorrow, and who celebrated a birthday during the weekend as well. And to remind you that, For the Record, birthday shout-outs, they are brought to you by Pizza Boat, who are now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. So we encourage you, we urge you to hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Pizza Boat, they make pizza even more fun. You can pick up your pizza or you can have it delivered. Simply call 949-0000, or you can order online via www.pizzaboat.ky. So Miss Marzita Bawden, she is celebrating her birthday today, Monday, September the 11th. And Miss Marzita, birthday greetings coming from your entire family. Have a happy birthday today. Also, we have Mr. Berman Scott, who is celebrating his birthday today. Miss Mitzi Scott also celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday to Mr. Berman, Miss Mitzi, as well as Susie Culbert, who's celebrating her birthday today as well. And tomorrow, Miss Marcia Watson is celebrating a birthday tomorrow as well. So happy birthday to Miss Marcia Watson. And we have Miss Barbara Dale Connolly, who is celebrating her birthday today as well. So we want to wish her all that is best for her, and we continue to feel your pain, the pain that you feel, as well as a result of your loss, and to say that our prayers will continue to go out for you and your entire family as well. Okay, so we also have Lord Graham, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, and I have a tribute here from one of our listeners that I want to share with you. Okay, but we're also being asked to send out birthday greetings to Nanette Williams, and she's being wished all that is best on her special day. These greetings are coming from Tony, Keisha, and Norman Williams. So Miss Nanette Williams celebrating a birthday today. We want to wish you a happy birthday as well. This person says for the passage of Ivan as well. Yes. What are we now? 19 years since the passage of Hurricane Ivan. And the person says we will never forget that experience as well. And then I need to find the greetings from person in relation to Mr. Lord Graham. Miss Susan, why don't we take that early commercial break? And I have some more birthday greetings that I want to share as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Mary Jeanette Bodden, 1861 to 1934.
Mary Jeanette was the first trained midwife in Bodden Town. She was trained by Commissioner George S.S. Hurst, a medical doctor who issued her a certificate of completion of her training. She was noted in town for her strict regimen of hygiene, and she delivered numerous healthy babies throughout the district, staying with the mother and caring for her baby for 9 days after the birth. She herself was the mother of 11 children, 3 of whom she lost to typhoid epidemics before the arrival of Commissioner Hurst. On the Commissioner's frequent weekend visits to Bodden Town, Mary Jeanette and her husband Henry provided transportation for him, as Henry was a mail carrier and owned a horse and buggy.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
I love Pizza Boat. It's yummy.
It has my 2 favorite things combined, cheese and boats.
Pizza Boat makes pizza way more fun.
Hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Kids, now Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. Summer is here. Lunch or dinner, let Pizza Boat bring the fun. Pizza Boat, a Cayman twist to pizza, bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual-specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Upgrade your connection with Digicel's all-new postpaid plans. Experience the freedom of endless local calls, more any use data to browse, entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok, and endless social data for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's not all. Stay connected when you travel with roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean, and make calls while abroad with more international minutes than ever before. Stay connected on the fastest, most reliable network. Make the switch today. Digicel, better connected.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're still doing some birthday shout-outs as well. So we have Mr. Ricky Seymour celebrating his birthday today as well. So we want to wish Ricky Seymour a happy birthday and belated birthday greetings going out to Mr. Menard Miles, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. So Mr. Ricky Seymour celebrating his birthday today, and belated birthday greetings going out to Mr. Menard Miles, who celebrated his birthday yesterday. And then I'm going to share with you a tribute that was written by Miss Lucille about Lord Graham, Mr. Graham Rankin as well. So it says, Lord Graham, happy birthday, September 10th. Sorry. September 10th was Lord Graham's birthday. Yes, the incomparable Graham. There is no one else like him. His criticism on the radio or elsewhere carries no demeaning or aspersions. He wants us to be charitable, well-meaning Caymanians with good intentions to help each other. He brings points to OC and Dr. Steve that have depth, illustrating especially the old good days, how we were with each other. He opens his house with love and cooks Caymanian cuisine. Every day he seeks people who, like himself, can be a disciple to carry the values of history and the love for the country that the Caymanians had. He is a champion of our heritage. He calls it out and seeks to have us practice the art of corroboration and love for each other, which made this country and its land that time forgot. To one that others will never forget. So which made this country and its land that time forgot to one that others will never forget. He has a heart of gold and will give everything but his dogs and his children. He's a master of bringing the generations together. I like him for this, a master at criticizing your frailties in such a humorous way. You have no choice but to laugh and appreciate what he's doing to you. Graham is brave and full of courage. two characteristics of the old Cayman. Sometimes you wonder what his age is. It is the history he recalls, such a sage of memory. He's a genuine Caymanian and wants us to be number one. We need more like him. And that is coming from Miss Lucille Seymour to Mr. Graham Rankin. Want to thank Miss Lucille for that as well, checking to see whether or not we have any more birthday greetings coming in. If you know someone who's celebrating a birthday or any other momentous occasion, please let us know. I'm sure that some of your children are now have either already settled in or are now settling into university, either locally or overseas as well. For some of them, this may be their first experience being abroad, being away from family as well. Some look forward to it. Others, it may be a traumatic experience to them as well. We urge you to give them as much support, moral support as possible through this journey. For some of them, it will take time to make that adjustment, while others may just fit right in. We urge you to continue to listen, to your children. Listen to them. If you sense, any changes, if they're silently sending you a message, listen to them as well. Oh, we have a birthday greetings going out to Mr. Dave Smith, coming from his wife, Miss Lynn, as well. Haven't heard from Miss Lynn in quite a while. I'm not sure whether or not Dave's still eating those cakes and stuff like that, but I'm sure that if he is, Miss Lynn has already baked a birthday cake for Dave as well. So just remember, whatever you do it in moderation. So, Mr. Dave, if you have that cake, don't wake up in the night and sneak and go to that refrigerator and eat that cake. Do it in moderation as well. Ms. Susan, you may want to check the WhatsApp messages. There may be one there that we can play before we go to our 8 o'clock news. We're hoping to have guests in the studio at 8:15. Hopefully, we will. We know that people have been working late, burning the midnight oil in government as well. Lots of work to be done. So we certainly do understand the challenges and the hard work that is going into budget preparation and everything. But hopefully, we know that things will work out at the end of the day. So, Ms. Susan, we said some people are wearing red and blue, which demonstrates the resilience of the Cayman Islands as well. I'm going to sort of go back a little bit on Hurricane Ivan again. Like I said, we do have a situation where, 9/11 in the U.S. 22 years ago as well. But we had Hurricane Ivan in 2004. And those of you who saw the Cayman Islands after that hurricane, I remember driving home. I had been at the command center and the fire station from the Saturday afternoon, and I didn't go home until the following Tuesday. I remember driving up with Mr. Rosworth McLaughlin, one of the senior fire officers. And when I looked at the devastation in the Savannah area, because while I had been on tours throughout the Georgetown area, assessing the damage and everything, I hadn't been to the Eastern District. And tears came to my eyes when I saw the destruction. You know, you couldn't help but cry. We have come a long way since then. We said that we would rebuild, and we would rebuild better. Despite the fact that some people have still not learned the lessons of Hurricane Ivan, there are some areas on the island that we know were totally destroyed, but yet we see rebuilding going on in those areas. Whether or not they're building any further away from the sea, the shoreline, I'm not sure, because you can see the construction taking place from the road, but unless you go to the seaside, you can't see it. But I'm convinced that some people have not learned from Hurricane Ivan and what it brings. It is also unfortunate that people who feel that the Cayman Islands is going in the wrong direction, and that the focus of our policy makers and our legislators is more towards developing Cayman, but developing Cayman not for Caymanians, but for others. And unfortunately, I have seen comments on social media where people have said, what we need is another Ivan to basically bring us to reality. Folks, we don't need another Ivan. If we need to get people, to wake people up, to get them to connect with reality, we need to find another way to do it. But we certainly don't need another Ivan. Yes, while when you looked on the lines for water and for those waiting to try to get their cell phones charged, all in sundry, different colors, different shapes, different income brackets, they were all on that same line. When my good friend, Mr. Alan Moore, and his brother, Arthur, and others, at that time they were operating Mango Tree, and everyone was coming there to get food that they were cooking, because the supermarkets, some of them like Foster's, rather than have the their goods, their produce, their meats and stuff, have them spoil. They were giving it to restaurants. Those restaurants were cooking it and giving out the meals for free, especially to those employees, government employees in particular, and others who were out there, people at the port and all over. But yes, Ivan did bring us together, but it brought us together at a huge cost, not only financial cost, but cost in human life as well. Because while we didn't lose anyone during Hurricane Ivan, maybe the loss of one life that may have been attributed, to Hurricane Ivan, but not directly related to it, we saw what happened to our older folks after, those who were displaced, those who were affected by it, and we started to see an increase in the number of deaths in the Cayman Islands as a result of that. I recall going to Turks and Caicos Islands after they had a hurricane over there, and sitting down with the governor and sitting down with the one of the permanent secretaries, and they were asking us about what we did after the hurricane, what are some of the things to look for. And I said, one of the things that you really want to monitor and to ensure that the most vulnerable in your society, that you take care of them, that you pay attention to them, because what we saw in the Cayman Islands after Hurricane Ivan was an increase in the number of deaths because so many people were traumatized. So folks, yes, we want to see a government, lawmakers that are pro-Caymanian. They don't have to be anti-foreign, but taking Cayman in the direction that is treating and considering Caymanians first. But we don't need another Hurricane Ivan in order for us to achieve that. We can make waves in other ways to get that done, but we certainly don't need another Hurricane Ivan. Folks, with that, we've reached the top of the hour, the 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is 7:59. Brought to you by Foster's.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of children around the world bravely fight cancer. Join Foster's and Priced Right this Childhood Cancer Awareness Month to help raise money for the St. Baldrick's Foundation, funding critical childhood cancer research. It's easy to donate. At checkout, once you're done shopping, our team will ask if you'd like to round up your purchase to the nearest dollar or make a donation. Let's give kids fighting cancer opportunities to live a lifetime. Donate today at any Foster's or Priced Right location, and together we can conquer kids' cancer.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. One of the 5 appearances planned for Wednesday's public meeting of the Central Planning Authority will see Cayman Enterprise City on the agenda for the 4th time this year. The developer is looking to modify planning permission for a planned area development off Fairbanks Road in Georgetown between the Fairbanks Prison to the north and Cayman Tennis Club to the south. According to the meeting agenda, discussion will focus on the modifications, agency comments, applicant submissions, as well as objections to the application. The DOE has also raised concerns about draining and flooding, loss of primary mangrove wetland habitat, and water quality. Changes being sought by the developer include an increase to the project's total area of 75.5 acres, the redistribution of buildings, the introduction of a mixed-use concept, expanded residential zones, as well as the relocation of the designated hotel tourism zone building to the mixed-use zone, and the relocation of the service department buildings to the new proposed residential apartment townhome zone. The Central Planning Authority will meet on Wednesday at Government Administration Building. The meeting is open to the public. Plans continue for next year's National Heroes Day, when cultural artists and creatives will be recognized for their work. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage, the Protocol Office, and the National Gallery are teaming up this time to make sure the event runs smoothly. Ministry Senior Policy Analyst Alanis Linwood Amor.
We are looking at all kinds of creative fields and artistic fields. So we're talking about the storytellers, we're talking about the musicians, the dancers, and even culinary artists as well. Mm-hmm. So when you think about culture, it encompasses everything that creates our islands, from the shipbuilders, the thatch making, you name it.
The public is reminded to nominate those creatives and artists who have done their part to integrate, promote, preserve, educate, and create awareness for Cayman's culture and heritage. For more information on the nomination process, you can head to gov.ky. And government launches a new learning challenge designed to help Cayman's public sector reach its goal of being a world-class civil service. The 3-month challenge will focus on a different skill area each month. Learning Programs Manager in the Civil Service College, Tavia Tomlinson-Pajic.
At the end of the 3 months, we also have a prize for the top learner for all 3 months. We also have a prize for the winning department, as in the department by percentage that has the greatest number of learners completing the challenges for the month.
She tells CIG-TV at the end of 3 months, there will be a prize for the overall top learner, as well as the winning department, which has the greatest number of learners completing the challenges for the month. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Julie Candler. Morocco's Interior Ministry says nearly 2,500 people have now died in the country following Friday's earthquake. Rescue efforts are being hampered by blocked roads. Some villages have been almost completely destroyed. The North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is to visit Russia in the coming days. Moscow and Pyongyang both confirmed the visit. The Kremlin said President Putin invited Mr. Kim. South Korean media reported earlier that Mr. Kim had already set off of Vladivostok in an armoured train. Residents of Sudan's capital Khartoum say their country is descending into anarchy. Nearly 50 people were killed on Sunday. It was the single deadliest incident since war between the Sudanese military and the Rapid Support Forces broke out in April. The leaders of the United States and Vietnam have warned against the threat or use of force in the disputed South China Sea. The joint statement in Hanoi by President Biden and Nguyen Nguyen Chau is seen as an attempt to counter China's increasing assertiveness in the region. China has dismissed reports that it's been trying to spy on the British government using a parliamentary researcher with close links to MPs. The suspect, who's been arrested, says he's innocent. At least 24 people have died after a ferry capsized in Nigeria. Dozens are still missing. It's not clear what caused the accident. Poland is to buy $10 billion worth of advanced rockets from the United States as it tries to modernize its armed forces. The systems, HIMARS, have been credited with helping Ukraine capture territory from Russia. A former Pakistani international cricketer has been sentenced in absentia to 12 years in prison for calling for the murder of the Dutch far-right leader Geert Wilders. Khalid Latif released a video in 2018 offering a reward for the politician's murder. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Please ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 87 degrees. Relative humidity is 81%. The barometric pressure is 1013.1 millibars. The wind is out of the east-northeast at 8 knots. Overnight low temperature was 81 degrees. Synopses indicate light to moderate winds and slight seas are expected over the next few days as the pressure gradient tightens across the Caribbean, causing localized isolated showers in and around the Cayman area for the next 24 hours. Radar images show a few isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west. The National Hurricane Center is issuing advisories on Hurricane Lee and Tropical Storm Margaret. At last check, the closest system, Hurricane Lee, was was located some 340 miles north of the northern Leeward Islands and moving towards the northwest at 7 miles per hour. At the same time, Tropical Storm Margaret is several hundreds of miles further east of Hurricane Lee. The system poses no threat to the Cayman Islands, but their progress will be monitored by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. If you need additional information, you can visit www.nhc.noaa.gov. Now, the forecast for today for the Cayman Islands calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index of 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for pretty much the same. Partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures falling to the low 80s tonight. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1:48, high tide tonight at 8:14. The sun will set this evening at 6:30 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:13. And the outlook is calling for a decrease in cloudiness and showers as a ridge builds in our area Tuesday. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking. Change your life. Practicing forgiveness is a healthy habit.
As pastor and best-selling author Gary Chapman wrote in his book, The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a commitment. It is a choice to show mercy, not to hold the offense up against the offender. Forgiveness is an expression of love.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning. Let's take a look at traffic. Traffic is heavy on the Linford Pearson Highway and coming off of Bobby Thompson Way and Agnes Way. Steady traffic heading to Georgetown on Cool Road. Eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving on moderately. Steady but flowing traffic on Huldah Avenue. As we look to the Estella Tibbetts Highway, traffic is busy coming off of there and continuing on to the Industrial Park area. North Sound Road, both directions, traffic is flowing moderately. Edward Street, no issues as traffic is light to moderate, as well as on Owen Roberts Drive and coming from the West Bay 4-way stop. As we turn our eyes to the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again. At about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock, we'll give you another traffic report. Remember, click it or ticket.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the all-new Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Whether it's routine care or highly complex surgery, when it comes to your health, you want the best. Health City has Cayman's most comprehensive range of in-house medical services. Recognized for quality and excellence, Health City brings together expert doctors, the best technology, and the latest techniques to understand your health and ensure you get the care you need. From Camana Bay to East End, you can trust the team at Health City. Health City, world-class healthcare within your reach.
Can you tell me, what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates!
Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Orrett Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Orrett Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Sponsored by Pizza Boat. Now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery. Call 949,000 or order online at www.pizzaboat.ky.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio yet. Want to remind you, our phone lines are open if you have something that you want to talk about. Toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990, and our WhatsApp number, 925-3261 as well. Share some of the messages that I have received as well. This person say that they listen to the radio program all the time, and they shared a message with me, and then they go on to talk about that message. They say that they found this message to be so similar to what's happening in Cayman, and they go on to say that genocide is not a nice word, but I believe that the definition, regrettably, yet aptly matches our current situation. So the contents of the video, I will share that with you at another time. But again, just to show you the concerns that Caymanians have. Now, I follow a few social media platforms. I very rarely opine on them, but I like to listen. I like to listen. I like to then analyze what is being said. And I have no doubt that the majority of Caymanians, generational Caymanians, feel that the direction that the Cayman Islands is headed in is not favorable towards them, not in favor of them at all. Seems as if many people feel that the deck is stacked against them as well. And I think it is extremely important in the next election that those candidates out there, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to do more than just promise the people of the Cayman Islands. There are certain promises, certain things that they're going to want to hear from you, but you have to also show them how you're going to be able to deliver on your promises as well. It is my view, my personal view, that the elections of 2025 are going to be crucial, and you can expect the electorate to hold your feet to the fire as a politician, because people are waking up. They're seeing exactly what's happening, not only seeing it, but more and more persons are experiencing it as well. So we're gonna continue to talk more and more about it, but people have serious concerns. And like the writer said, genocide. The word genocide may be a little bit strong, but what other word do we use in those situations? We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
OC, I don't like saying just OC. Everybody else got a title like, now, I'm a lord now. Dr. Maxfield, we got Dr. Frank, we got Dr. Sir Alden, we even got Sir Craig. Can we put some handle to your name?
Some people may suggest the devil, but Mr. Ivan already has that name. Devil.
And then some people call you OC Corner.
Yeah. I actually like the OC Corner.
Yeah, the OC Corner. Yeah. OC. I think I hear you on that topic this morning. I think that's something that you should champion going forward. The Cayman thing, and to guide us into going in the right direction as you knew it, because to go there, you would have to know where we came from, Yes. And you know it quite well. OC, I was at the church yesterday, and old contractor coming out of the Arches family told me, we was talking, and he said, 35 years ago, he was paying $6.50 an hour, the less. That was the minimum. And that would be for the little guy that would be cleaning up the construction yard, and then the price, would go up according to what, and that was 35 years ago. Do you know how many times the cost of living have risen since 35 years ago? And now we're not at the $6.50, but we are at $6 as minimum wage, and I'm also collaborating with what you were saying just now. The pastor made reference to something that our late friend, Mr. Brenner, read out, and it was talking about the older Cayman and that how people come here and found it and blah blah, and he made reference and say, I do love Cayman, but I'd love Cayman more back then, because back then we did everything for ourselves. We were almost self-sufficient, and now we're a large consumer, and we find it very difficult to understand. I went to, after your good friend there, Arden McLean, and IQ, would have got this
the farm going on. Yes.
Also, you should see the size of cucumbers. Cucumbers is not a local food that we grew up cultivating, but you should see the type of cucumbers that was grown, the watermelons, the pumpkins, the avocado now that's planted. I mean, and they said that we were not an agricultural country. See, back then our people fed themselves. They had no container coming from Miami. and they felt themselves, and then they had their fresh meat fish coming from the sea every day, fresh, because it had to be caught fresh because there was no refrigeration, to keep it, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I tend to like the pastor said, the older Cayman. We just need to tweak it a little bit, get rid of mosquitoes, but see, I often make mention because of the attitude some people come here with. I also often wish that mosquitoes could come back like how they was in 1962. Because one little mosquito come out and they're complaining. We were here, OC, when there was nothing else but mosquitoes.
Yeah. If you ask some of them if they know what a fire pot is, they couldn't tell you.
Ask them if they know what a fire pot is.
Or a smoke pan.
But yet, OC, we give them the title. We give them this title as Caymanian. I think that too, we should find a title to replace that Cayman, paper Caymanian, or whatever they want to call it. I don't know. Some people call it paper Caymanian. Ozzy calls it driftwood. Is it driftwood? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to find a title. So a lot of people just don't know. Like Mr. McLean, how you say it? They know our glory, but they don't know our story.
Yep.
But how can you be us if you don't know our story? So yeah, I just wanted to touch on what you were saying just now, and make reference to what the pastor said yesterday about loving the older Cayman instead of what's happening now.
Yeah. And you mentioned the minimum wage and what was paid to just a helper or something like that in those days. There are those who believe, and there's some truth to it, that this whole minimum wage issue is really geared towards the persons who come to work in the Cayman Islands on work permits. Because if we were making $6 plus per hour before, just as as a helper, cleaning up around a construction site, there I can't see us falling below that now. So this whole minimum wage, there are people who believe that we're seeking to solve a minimum wage for work permit holders. Now, nothing wrong with that to a certain extent, because I don't believe that we should have a situation, an economic situation in the Cayman Islands where we're trying to take advantage of foreign workers who are here on work permits and lowballing them when it comes to wages, as well. But there are some people who believe that this whole minimum wage thing, it is more applicable to work permit holders than it is, to Caymanians.
And that is where the problem comes in at. And we get this thing out there about Caymanians are lazy. Caymanians are not lazy. The minimum wage have only put Caymanians where they don't want to work, not that they're lazy.
Yes.
Because if the Caymanian do not work for the $6 an hour, then he have that employer can go to labor office or wherever and say, hey, I advertised the job for 2 weeks and I can't get a Caymanian to work.
Precisely.
Not that the Caymanian don't want to work. He
don't want to work for that wage. Yes.
So because of that now, they are allowed now, given the permission now, to bring in a foreign worker for that $6 an hour. You see?
Yep.
So and that's really the problem. So it's geared towards the work permit person, but it's putting the Caymanian at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
At the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Lord Graham, thanks. Thank you very much for that. As soon as we have another caller, let's take the commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Ready for more fun, more data, and endless connections? Digicel's all-new postpaid plans got you covered. Get more entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Endless social data for WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. And more international minutes than ever before. Stay connected on the fastest, most reliable network in Cayman. Make the switch today. Digicel. Better connected.
RC Fusion, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Brought to you by Puritan Cleaners. Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular eco-friendly cleaning solvent. Call 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
Attention employers. Are you desirous of gaining additional assistance for up to 6 months? Would you like an opportunity to enhance the future labor force while providing the nation's youth with vital work experience? If so, the Cayman Islands Further Education Center, CIFEC, invites you to participate in its internship program for the 2023 to 2024 academic year. To register or to learn more about the CIFEC internship program, email us at careers@cifec.edu.ky no later than Friday, the 15th of September.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have one caller on hold. We're going to take that caller. I want to say to our listening and viewing audience that we also have the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, in the studio with us. So we're going to take that caller. After that, we're going to close the phone lines off for a while. Premier wants to talk about things that are taking place. Of course, you know the budget session is coming up soon as well. So we'll talk about the strategic policy statement that was laid in Parliament in May of this year. And we'll talk about the financial position of the Cayman Islands, talk about what the budget process is like, talk about the, people who are hearing about cutting budget, cost-cutting measures and stuff like that, and the government priorities as well. So those are some of the things that the Honorable Premier will be talking about. We're going to take this caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Panton. How are you? And good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Connor, just to continue what Lord Graham was talking about, I remember in the 80s, just after I was in the construction business most of my life. Grew up with the patterns and the arches. And I remember I was making $3.50 per square yard plastering as a mason, and I was getting $12.50 as a carpenter. That was in the 80s. That was in the 80s. So I don't know how the wages has reversed and changed and brought down, but that is what I was making. They had 3 masons that was supposed to be the top. That's the block players, Mr. Rayburn McLaughlin, Mr. George McLean, myself, and Mr. Dana Warren. And we were making 60 cents, 65 cents per block. Those days we specialized in that. We would lay like 300-400 blocks, and we could go home when we wanted. That's how it was in those days. But that is just in the 80s, and now it's minimum wage is $6.50. I don't understand. But Mr. Panton, I would like if you could give me a call when your show is over, please. It's a matter I'd like to speak to you about, sir. Very important.
All right, sir. Will do.
Okay. Caller, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Premier, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record. We know that you have been burning the midnight oil as well. It's that time of the year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pleasure to be back here with you. Always, I always enjoy it, and we certainly have had our hands full working through some of the budget issues, managing a lot of expectations, and trying to make sure that we are strong fiscal stewards of the country's resources. That's one of our major obligations is to make sure that this country remains fiscally strong, and we're able to continue to help people, and we do not lose our in any way threaten our fiscal sovereignty, if I can call it that, in the sense that we know that in the past when we have had challenges, when we have had disruptions, and let's face it, the COVID environment in the last couple of years has been a significant impact financially on the country. When we have had situations like that, we do run the potential risk of being in a situation where problems develop and you end up having to deal with the UK on budgetary issues, and that's not a word that's in my vocabulary or a phrase that's in my vocabulary at all. So it's up to us. If we Caymanians know how to do these things, and we know what our people need, we know what our country needs. And we also have to face some of the realities that you cannot do everything that the country may need, that you cannot do everything that the people may want all at the same time.
You have to prioritize.
Right? You have to prioritize. And that's where it does get, difficult, trying to be clear on exactly what the priorities are, and to get those to be a shared set of priorities.
And you have certain constitutional guidelines that you have to abide by as well, unless you're able to have the United Kingdom agree to changes to those particular guidelines as well.
When you say constitution, you mean the framework for fiscal responsibility?
Right, yes.
Right, so that's set out in the Public Management and Finance Act.
Yes.
Yeah. So absolutely, that is that's a set of metrics that were put in place, I think back in 2010 or 2011. It was required by the UK, and that has, there are elements of it that are very conservative, that do put you under a lot of pressure to try to ensure and continue to ensure compliance. But at the end of the day, it is a set of guardrails that do serve the interests of the country. And there are times, as I said, when you feel that this element of it or that element of it are too conservative, and perhaps it would be useful to get some leeway. But overall, you have to recognize the value of that sort of mechanism and those sort of metrics that require that you keep things in context and prioritize appropriately, and don't extend yourself too far.
Now, if you could, Premier, if we can talk about the strategic policy statement that was tabled in May, and now the efforts to ensure that the budget basically aligns with that strategic policy statement, and where it isn't possible, or whether or not everything that was proposed in the strategic policy statement, how is that aligning up now with the budget preparation, and also to remind our listeners when the budget has to be presented to Parliament.
Right. So I guess I can start with the last bit first.
Okay.
The budget has to be presented by the end of the year. So by December 31st, we need a budget in place so that it starts operating from January 1st, 2024. And the budget that we're looking at, we do 2-year budgets now. Since about 2017, I think was we did a 18-month transition prior to that, but we're in 2-year budgets now. So we're doing a 2024 and 2025 budget. The SPS, the Strategic Policy Statement, is a document that is required to be taken to Parliament, and it's what that reflects is the initial stage of the budget development, which is the policy-based stage. I think historically I've never quite understood why it always seemed to be the other way around. It seemed to be about the numbers. It seemed to be about what you were anticipating you would be spending, projecting on revenues, and then usually at the back end of it there was a bit about policy and about the strategic objectives that you have as a government. But if you look at the PMFA, it's very clear that the first stage is developing your policy approach, and then you basically cost what those policy approaches are going to be, or what your initiatives are going to be. So it should be policy up front and the numbers really at the back, demonstrating what you broadly expect to be spending in relation to those, and then you have projections around revenue and that sort of thing. So that was done. We provided that in May in accordance with the requirements of the PMFA. Actually, we did it in we actually presented it in April, late April. I think it was about the 26th of April or something like that. But it's required to be in place for the 1st of May. So that was done, and that was done in a way that I think more clearly sets out to the country exactly what the broad policies were going to be and how we were going to be addressing these needs. And we basically broke it down into sort of 5 broad policy approaches, and the first one was we are seeking to improve the quality of life of Caymanians, and that's fairly broad in itself, and we had a lot of different cascading levels of initiatives and objectives, outcomes to be able to achieve that. But that sets out, your policies, your programs, and the priorities which we want to put in place, which benefit the people of the country and improve the quality of their life, obviously. And that's obviously, individually and collectively. Then we had the enhancing of competitiveness, and while meeting international standards, and that. It sounds like it might be just financial services, for example, but it's much broader than that. But yes, financial services is a really important element of that. Anything to do with our economy, and even the provisions of the kinds of services, the quality of the services that we want to be able to provide to our people, because why should our people expect anything less than something which is meeting international standards? but yeah, we want to be able to be out front, and I think largely we typically are, in terms of, certainly by comparison to many of our fellow overseas territories and other states in the region. We are typically leading in areas of economic, social, governance, and environmental frameworks, and that's important to us. Remember, just going back to financial services for the moment, when we came into office in April 21, seems a long time ago now, but we just prior to that, in February 21, we'd had the FATF assessment, the Financial Action Task Force assessment, and Cayman had been put on the enhanced review list, or the grey list, as people typically refer to it as. So we've been working very hard, and various agencies led by Honourable Attorney General and my colleague Minister Andre Ebanks. We've been all working very hard on that, and we've just completed the FATF inspection. The team was here in the last week and a half, and we've had a very, we had a very good inspection. The feedback that I've had directly from the team and the various leaders of that from the FATF, and that included people from other agencies around the world, as well as our own Caribbean Financial Action Task Force regional body. Everything was very positive. So we have every reason, as I've said before, to be optimistic, and we continue to be optimistic that we will. And it's one of those things you want to knock on wood, right?
Yes.
Because when you're dealing with international political issues, and I say international political because sometimes it is just about that. Sometimes it isn't about objective standards. It isn't just about, have you complied with this technical requirement, and have you satisfactorily demonstrated that there's effectiveness? Because we say yes, right? But sometimes it just comes down to politics.
Okay.
But we want to avoid that. But we have every reason to believe we're going to get there with that, and that simply strengthens our record, our reputation, and that's a clear reflection of competitiveness, strengthening our competitiveness, and meeting international standards, amongst other things.
Okay. Premier, we're going to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. The conversation with the Honourable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands, will continue after this short commercial break, so please stay tuned.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline. Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe perfect con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Introducing Digicell's all-new prepaid plans, packed with more any-use data than ever before. Entertainment data for the apps you love, like Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, endless social data for Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, so you're always in the know. Stay connected. Stay entertained with Digicell's new prepaid plans. Activate in the My Digicel app today. Digicel, better connected.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. So we're talking about the OECD and the Financial Action Task Force. Their visit to the Cayman Islands. And my question is, do they in any way sort of like tilt their hand to give you a little preview of what their recommendations are likely to be, even though they would put their recommendations forward and there's another entity that actually makes the decision?
Right. Thanks, Wilsie. So, I mean, well, first of all, let me just clarify. It is FATF, not OECD.
Yes.
Get related at this point, but we have had our share of OECD discussions in the past, and that's an ongoing thing as well. But well, let me just clarify. This inspection team, they go off and they make the recommendations to the FATF body, and the plenary is coming up in about 2 weeks, I think, 3 weeks. No, it must be 2 weeks now. And they make those recommendations, and that plenary body then makes the decision as to whether Cayman would come off the grey list entirely, or whether there would be a continuation of a period of enhanced review. But I think, I mean, our AG and Minister Ebanks and our AMLSG, our anti-money laundering steering group team, all the various agencies involved, including our regulator, Cayman Islands Monetary Authority, and industry as a whole, the private sector members, they have all been engaged fully in this review process, this inspection process. And I think they have all acquitted themselves extremely well. They've left a very positive impression from what I can tell. I had a wrap-up meeting with Her Excellency, Deputy Governor, Minister Ebanks, Honourable Attorney General. Everybody on our side was present, Commissioner of Police as well. And this was with the entire inspection team. And the indications have all been very positive. They were very complimentary of the level of engagement on the government side, as well as on the private sector side. So I certainly want to thank, I've done it before, and I want to thank all of them for the excellent job I think they've done. And I want to thank private sector as well, who have done a great job, I think, of demonstrating this level of compliance, or culture of compliance, that is reflected in Cayman, the level of understanding of the risks and obligations that exist. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about us having our technical requirements in place. It's about our agencies understanding what those are and applying those. And it's really importantly about our private sector understanding those and following those and implementing those obligations. At the end of the day, they're the gatekeepers, right? They're trying to make sure that our jurisdiction does not get abused in any way, whether it's money laundering, or whether it's financing of terrorism, or whether it's financing the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, or these types of things. We do not want our jurisdiction in any way impacted, in any way abused or utilized for those types of absolute wrongdoings. And that's why we continue to work very hard. And I believe we have demonstrated categorically that we're a very, very strong jurisdiction. We're very compliant at a huge level of understanding, a strong culture of compliance on these issues. So I am optimistic, as I said, but you have to reserve a little bit of uncertainty, because you just never know. But as far as we can tell, we should be good with this. And to be honest, the team, the heads of the team, more or less indicated that. They went as far as they could say explicitly, without saying explicitly, that that's the case. So every reason for us to believe that we're good in respect of that, and that probably by October, sometime in October, we'll get some good news, and fingers crossed that remains true, and there's nothing which would impact that.
And all of the required legislation or amendments to the legislation that they sometimes would want to see, those have all been completed as well?
Yes. Everything in terms of, up to this point, everything in terms of the technical requirements are in place. The issues that we had were, I think, largely around demonstrating effectiveness. So one of the things that has been a problem for us has been demonstrating that, for example, we successfully prosecute people for money laundering and sentence them appropriately and this type of thing. But that has been somewhat difficult in the sense that if they're correct that we have these international players that are abusing our jurisdiction, right, and this is part of the allegation, and that we're sort of facilitating, to some extent, money laundering, then where are these players going to be? They're not going to be in Cayman. They're going to be overseas. They're going to be in the onshore jurisdictions. And here's the thing. Cayman has a fantastic record of demonstrating cooperation and assistance and collaboration with many agencies around the world. And because of our good work and our strong level of collaboration, there have been successful prosecutions of big figures. Lots of people who have been engaged in some wrongdoing to some extent or another, but we don't get any credit for assisting in that respect. They want to see it done here.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But the people that may be engaged in something like that here, it's the volumes are going to be low, almost by definition. So that's part of our challenge. We have people. I have always said this. We've had, and this is obviously factual. We've had the Manhattan DA, District Attorney in New York, go to Congress and go to actually. I don't know whether it was a congressional committee or a Senate committee that they were talking about these kinds of issues and the extent to which they're able to prosecute and get assistance internationally. And they've said, stood up and said the Cayman Islands has been of equal or better assistance in helping us to prosecute people who've been engaged in wrongdoing than many of the authorities in states within the United States. We don't get any credit for that, right? Because we're not doing it here. From a regulatory and a FATF perspective, they say, okay, that's good, but we want to see it done in the country.
And
so we've had some. We've had some of these cases. We've had sentencing. I'm not going to necessarily speak to them because we kind of know who they are, right? Some of our own sometimes, unfortunately. But it demonstrates that level of effectiveness. It demonstrates that we're able to achieve this. So we have every reason to believe we should be okay.
Okay. Do they ever, when they say that we don't have as many prosecutions, do they point to any specific cases, or are they just generalizing when they do that? Because if you knew who you're not prosecuting, then you know.
Yeah, no, it's just general.
It's just general.
They're
just
saying
general.
it's up to you to demonstrate that you're achieving this, and demonstrating effectiveness. They don't say you have to prosecute this person in order to do it.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing, the other thing we were talking about international standards and enhancing competitiveness from a variety of perspectives, but specifically financial services. But one of the other broad objectives was to future-proof our country, to increase resiliency. We have to plan for the challenges of tomorrow. We have to anticipate risks. We have to assess the opportunities that exist, and we have to take the steps that are necessary to achieve sustainable growth, sustainable health, and sustainable prosperity for the Cayman Islands. Within that, there are a multitude of things, which includes, dealing with climate change issues and confronting that, and figuring out how we're going to mitigate those impacts, and figuring out how we're going to adapt to some of those things. And this is where, going back to the discussions with the FFR, the Framework for Fiscal Responsibility, and some of the conservative aspects of it, in discussions with the UK, they'll talk about the extent to which concessionary financing might be available from the UK or perhaps from other agencies in the world, which enable you to be able to do some of these projects, to do some of this extraordinary stuff that will build resiliency, will bring about mitigation of impacts. But if we've tried to fit some of that within our metric of having a cap on 10% of our debt servicing ratio, our debt servicing ratio of 10% of our revenue, how do we fit some of these extraordinary things in? Right. So I've said to the UK, okay, this is good, but recognize that these are extraordinary types of issues that we have to deal with. Yes, we have an obligation to play our part, to do the things that mitigate the impacts, to help to lower our greenhouse gas emissions and try to become more environmentally conscious, and make sure that we keep nature where nature provides immense ecological services to us. But we need your help as well. And if this means that we're going to go above 10%, at least give us the latitude or the flexibility to consider that where it involves financing, concessionary or not, to be able to achieve these types of things, these extraordinary things that we need to be able to do.
Okay.
So those are some of the things, discussions around that. And that's part of that is future proofing. And then, of course, we also want to be able to modernize government. This is one of our objectives, is to modernize government to help to improve public sector performance. We formulate policies. We come up with initiatives. We help set priorities for what we're trying to achieve and address and deliver on behalf of the people of the country. But we also have the civil service, which, as you know, there is this line between the elected side of government as well as the civil service. The civil service are accountable to the governor and to the deputy governor, and we need to try to find ways to improve our overall performance and deliver efficiency on behalf of the people of the country.
Okay, folks, we're going to our headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, we'll hear a little bit more, about the civil service and that line between the politicians and the civil service. Then we want to hear from the Honourable Premier also about the financial position of the Cayman Islands. We want to know whether or not we are in good shape and whether or not the government spending is on track as well. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. If you want to hear those answers, you have to stay tuned. So, for the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Cayman Customs and Border Control says around 6:50 a.m. on Sunday, a vessel with 4 migrants arrived in Cayman Brac. All are being processed in accordance with CBC protocols. The number of people killed in Friday's powerful earthquake in Morocco has risen to 2,497. Rescuers have been using their bare hands to dig for survivors. Heavy lifting equipment can't get through the roads blocked by boulders to reach remote villages near the epicenter in the Atlas Mountains. Many lie in ruins with local people desperately awaiting aid. The Moroccan government says it has accepted aid from 4 countries so far: Britain, Spain, Qatar, and the UAE. Friday's earthquake, the country's deadliest in 60 years, struck below villages in the high Atlas Mountains south of Marrakesh. And North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly started his journey to a summit with the Russian president. The armored train that Mr. Kim uses for foreign visits appears to have departed Pyongyang. The meeting between the two leaders is expected to take place as early as tomorrow. The Kremlin has confirmed that Mr. Kim will visit Russia, quote, in coming days. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
I'm Kenneth Bryan, Minister for Tourism and Ports, and I need your help to keep our beautiful islands clean. Littering is unsightly and negatively impacts our tourism industry, which is crucial to our economy. Keeping our islands clean is everyone's responsibility, so let's all work together to keep the Cayman Islands beautiful for generations to come.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Wayne Panton. Premier, you mentioned the civil service, and I think on Friday's show I mentioned it as well. And we all recognize the line that divides ministers and politicians from civil servants. Mm-hmm. But there has to be a point where if a minister has been assigned a chief officer, and if that chief officer is not performing to the expectations of the minister, that the minister has the ear of the governor or the deputy governor for something like that to be resolved. Because if you are expected to fulfill your constitutional responsibilities, you need to do that with not only competent staff, but staff that you have, the greatest of confidence in as well. Is that achievable?
Yeah. No, absolutely. But there is a process through which the deputy governor has a discussion with the relevant minister, and seeks to develop a set of objectives or goals that they want the chief officer to be able to deliver on behalf of the government, on behalf of the ministry and minister and the government. And that is discussed with the chief officer, and there is an agreed, that goes in a performance agreement with the chief officer, and then it's up to the deputy governor to ensure that is those targets, those objectives, those goals are being met. Mm-hmm. And of course he does that in collaboration with the the minister. And if there's an issue, the idea is you don't wait until you get down to the wire to find out that there's a problem. You need to work on that as you go along, and that requires collaboration between all parties, but in particular between the minister with responsibility and the deputy, the governor. So those are mechanisms that exist, and they are effective, but it is in general, something that requires work to ensure that that the political side works with the civil service side to be able to deliver on behalf of the people of the country. And we want to make sure that the core civil service, but then also the wider public service, and the wider public service would be like statutory authorities and government companies. One obvious government company became an Airways, but we want to make sure that they all work together efficiently to deliver the best and the most efficient way on behalf of the people of the country. So there's no doubt that government can be modernized, can be improved. It's always an evolutionary process, whether it's a governance issue, but even more recently, opportunities around innovation, opportunities around technology that can help us deliver in a more efficient way. We can't continue to grow the civil service. This is one of the challenges that we've had is, we can't just continue to grow the civil. You can't just keep throwing bodies at roles. We have to figure out a process and technology and innovation which will improve efficiencies to be able to improve the ability for a leaner civil service to be able to deliver the same or better quality to the people of the country.
But how do you do that with government being the largest employer on the island without impacting the economic situation or the livelihoods of some people?
Well, I mean, government, historically there have been elements of sort of social hiring. You're trying to hire people just to make sure that they have a job. We have to try to move away from that and focus on the civil service being strong and having enough people to deliver the service, but not necessarily too many people. And our focus then has to be in terms of anybody else who needs a job, needs a career. Those can come in the private sector. So we have to make sure that the private sector is strong and the private sector has opportunities. And, one of the things we've done is to make sure that we have expanded, for example, the scholarships. And I know you had Deputy Premier and Minister for Education, Miss Juliana, on with some of the other, two of our other wonderful ladies, Minister Turner and Parliamentary Secretary Heather Bodden. They were on recently with you, and I know Deputy Premier was talking about the level of scholarships that we are providing for Caymanians, and that is where we're investing really heavily in trying to make sure that Caymanians can get ahead, can get qualifications that facilitate them going on to qualifying for certain careers and jobs and being able to achieve. And if you look at some of the information we have that comes out of our surveys, like the Labour Force Survey in particular, people who have a 4-year degree or a graduate degree, which is a 4-year degree, or a postgraduate degree, which is something like a master's or a PhD or something. When you have at least the graduate degree, you tend to earn 3, 4, 5 times as much as somebody, maybe more, as somebody who doesn't have one. And then the people who have postgraduate degrees sometimes earn considerably more as well. Mm-hmm. So there is a big gap, and that's where our opportunity is, to make sure that we provide opportunities for Caymanians to be as qualified as possible and educated as possible, and that then enables them to participate a much higher extent in the economy. And I make none of us, I think, make any excuses for wanting opportunities for Caymanians, and that's what we're focused on and delivering for our people. But this is about, in terms of modernizing government, it is literally about providing opportunities to Caymanians that have education, can deliver on behalf of our people, and we want more and more of our people to be educated and capable of having the opportunity to participate more highly in the economy, and to be able to raise their families and have a fantastic quality of life. But obviously, we all have challenges, right? No matter what. Sometimes, no matter what, even our income levels are, we have challenges, and these are things that we have to constantly keep in mind. And one of the things I think today that is becoming more and more of a challenge for us, and we feel it's a challenge, is the last of our broad objectives, which is protecting and promoting, recognizing, valuing, protecting and promoting our Caymanian culture, our heritage, our identity. And we have so many factors, so many things going on which have been basically pressuring those various factors. So, people feel like Cayman is being developed at a pace that is beyond their ability to absorb it, beyond their ability to learn to recognize what the new road signposts are in their lives, and things are changing, and there are challenges. We've had a population increase, for example, in the last 2 years of just in excess of 10,000. That wasn't planned. That wasn't promoted. That wasn't pushed by any government policy. And I can guarantee you, I hear in the some of the narratives in the public are that, our previous governments have said that they want 100,000 people in Cayman and this sort of thing. I've said publicly, there is no such policy of this government. And I don't know where this notion comes from that 100,000 people is some kind of magic target. 100,000 people is, to me, is no different from having a target of 85,000 or having a target of 110,000. What's the magic in it?
And then how do you turn it off,
right.
and keep it at 100,000?
Exactly. But even if you get to 100,000, when everything gets in balance, then what? What's the magic in 100,000? There's none. So, this was certainly not our any outcome of any policy that we've had. It's just one of the things that has happened as a result of the post-COVID environment and our ability to get the economy going again as strongly as we have. It is one of the things that we have to recognize, and we have to acknowledge that our people feel that they're under pressure, and we've got to do something about it. So we've got to address some of the issues around immigration, some of the issues around permanent residency, and ultimately people getting Cayman status.
Yes.
And do it in a reasonable way, a managed way. Not necessarily something you do in a knee-jerk way. So we have had a committee that we have been waiting on a report to get their perspective on how to make changes to the immigration point system to get a better and more balanced outcome of these types of things. Caymanians feel that, for example, the requirement or the ability for people to purchase property to qualify for a certain level of points in the current PR system is creating a lot of pressure on Caymanians and their ability to afford homes, because they feel that it's driving up their property values to a significant extent, and then they're also competing against younger Caymanians who are trying to get on the property ladder. So these are things that we have to recognize and we have to seek to address. We've had a housing committee, a housing task force rather, working on some of these issues, and very soon, and you'll start to see some of it before the end of this year, you will see us rolling out some of the recommendations that come from the housing task force and some of the recommendations that come from the point system, which in a fair and reasonable way we'll seek to make adjustments to help address some of these issues.
Excellent, that's good.
And
good
we must be doing that. But again, culture, heritage, identity, this is who we are. This has to be preserved. It has to be highlighted. It has to be passed on to future generations. I want Caymanians to continue to talk about honor and things like that, and not just, I don't want us developing a Disney accent where you can't tell where we're from. I love the fact that I can listen to somebody and I can tell if they're from West Bay, sometimes what part of West Bay they're from, if they're from Georgetown, if they're from Bodden Town, if they're from East End, North Side. I love that. And actually, let's not leave out the important Sister Islands, because we have at least 2 different dialects that exist there as well. Love it all. That's who we are. That's what we got to celebrate. That's what we have to embrace, because that's our history, and that ought to be our future too, and that ought to be what we continue to be about.
Okay, Premier, I'm trying to find one WhatsApp message that someone sent me this morning about a 19-year-old and the advice that you could give to them in terms of their finding a job. I'll find that. But in the meantime, we're going to go until... you want to take the break now? So we're going to take the commercial break. When we return, one of our listeners wanted to know about the financial situation in the Cayman Islands. And it says, what exactly does Cayman need to do to make things right? And then it says, how does the government increase their surplus? So if you could incorporate that question into the discussion on the financial position of the Cayman Islands. Are we in good shape? Are we spending on track? We would appreciate that as well. Yeah. Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Lots more information that the Premier has that he wants to share with you. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cabin traffic con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my healthcare instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. So, Premier, I finally found that WhatsApp message, and the reason that I couldn't find it was because I was looking under today's messages, but this person actually sent it on yesterday. I don't know if they were anticipating you coming in to the show or if they were just putting it out there, but it reads, it says, "Good morning. Sorry to bother you on a Sunday. I want to clarify some issues that I'm having with my young Caymanian 19-year-old daughter. My daughter has applied to around 35 different places looking a job, but the different companies keep telling her that she doesn't meet the requirements or that she was not selected for an interview. Can you please explain to me what are the requirements for a young Caymanian that's seeking employment? Because I want to know why it is so hard for her to get a job."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, see, the interesting part about that, as I was mentioning to you earlier, is that comes against a background that, we have these quantitative metrics that we look at all the time, and everybody looks at it in the context of public service and government. And one that's relevant to us in that case is that the most recent labour force survey that we did puts overall unemployment at about 2.5%, 2.6%, somewhere in that region. And then Caymanian unemployment is slightly higher at about 3.6%.
Okay.
And I think, from an economics perspective, there is a general sort of rule of thumb that if your unemployment rate is less than 4%, that's typically regarded as full employment. Because, there are a whole range of factors that might account for disruptions in those numbers around that sort of level that you're going to have at any time, at any given time. So what I've always recognized with that is that while we may have those types of numbers, and it's good to have that because it means that the overall impact reflects a high level of Caymanians that are employed. We do have situations like this, and this is where you have some of the issues, some of the factors that I was referring to, that are not going to reflect that particular scenario, and not going to reflect the ability for somebody to just go out and get a job like that. It's difficult to speak to what that is without seeing exactly what kinds of jobs they may have been applying for. Because it may be the case that they're applying for jobs that do require certain levels of training and education in order to be able to perform the role. I don't know. But in general, we want to try to encourage people who are around that age to focus on getting those qualifications, to focus on education, and to be able to get jobs, get the education, and get jobs then that will pay them more money. As I said earlier, in terms of what their pay expectations and reality can be for people who are more qualified and more educated. That's where I think we'd like to have Caymanians who are pursuing education, pursuing higher education. And this is the kind of thing that we have been focused on by increasing the level of scholarships that are available to Caymanians. And, not just scholarships internationally, to colleges in the US or Canada, or universities in the US or Canada or the UK or otherwise, but also locally with on A-levels, funding on A-levels. We've expanded the funding available around technical and vocational training. We've improved. We've had a number of things in place where over the last year and a half, 2 years, where we've been assisting people. Even things like if you haven't had the money to go to travel to Jamaica to get a student visa, we have been providing some assistance in that respect.
I heard about that
previously.
Yes.
So we're trying to find every possible way of assisting people to be able to get higher education, to be able to get better training, and to be able to qualify for some of these same jobs that perhaps this young lady has been trying to get, and she's being told she doesn't have the qualifications for. It is difficult. There are probably less jobs that are available today that have no requirements at all, either with experience or education, than perhaps in the past. The business environment has become more involved, and there's technology, there's requirements to follow certain procedures, safety, compliance, all these types of things. So it would be useful. I would be happy to talk to that particular lady and see what we could do to identify how to assist or encourage an approach of trying to get more education, that sort of thing. We would be happy to be able to do that, and I'm sure Minister for Education or myself, anybody, we'd be happy to do that. Yeah. So ask her to reach out.
Yep. One tangential question: the business staffing plans.
Yeah.
And there is a scholarship component to that for companies who apply for business staffing plan. Now, in most instances, these companies disperse those funds themselves, and it can range anywhere from $2,500 to $25,000.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, and we know that the private sector sometimes are hesitant about giving money to government. But I would venture to say, my opinion is that government has been quite responsible when it comes to the issuing of scholarships. Would that money going into government's coffers and being ring-fenced, earmarked specifically for scholarships, and it would be a pot that would be there at all times? Because one of the questions that we have from one of our listeners is that after the budget process, whatever money that has not been spent in the previous budget year, what happens to that money? They know that in the past, some government departments would run out and let's spend up all of this money, because if we don't spend it, we're going to lose it. Would it be helpful if those monies that these companies under the business staffing plan have to award as far as scholarships or internships go to government, since government has established and has shown that they're responsible in terms of handling that money?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is something that has been discussed in the past, and I can't speak to why it hasn't progressed previously, but I do think at this point that it is a matter that is worth considering. The reality is right now, government has committed a lot of money. We've committed a lot more money than the previous governments to scholarships, and we haven't seen. We haven't been in a situation or seen a situation where we have this incredible level of demand which isn't being met by government. Yeah. So we constantly encourage people once they meet the qualifying requirements. And I think in the private sector there are a number of entities that do actually have fantastic scholarship programs and training programs that they do administer successfully, and it would be in some cases it would be unfair to them to say, no, just give us the money and let us do it, because they want to demonstrate that they're good corporate citizens. They want to build relationships within the community as well, and they want to be able to train people, educate people and train them, either who can become a part of their own workforce, or Mike was off?
No.
Anyway,
no.
People who become a part of their own workforce. So I think what we should be looking at perhaps is where you have companies who are saying, yes, we have 2 scholarships available or something like that, but they haven't done it. So maybe we can look at that and say, okay, if you haven't actually done this, then how about contributing this funding to government, and let us run that through the government scholarship program.
Seems a reasonable approach.
Yeah,
yes,
so it wouldn't be an across-the-board answer for everybody, but you would look at different ones and say, if you haven't been able to do this, then how about letting us do this?
Ms. Susan, when you need the next break, you want to take the break now? Okay, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Are you feeling sick but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough, and sore throat to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe Cafe Con Leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Honorable Wayne Panton, Premier of the Cayman Islands. I know that many of you are chomping at the bit to get on the phone lines, but the Premier has a message that he wants to deliver, certain things that he wants to cover, and unfortunately I don't believe that we will have sufficient time to open up the phone lines this morning. And I know that I have been promising you and saying that we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the financial position of the Cayman Islands. And we keep going off to something else. So, Premier, let's address that issue now.
Yeah, so let me go back. I think it started because I issued a memo back in August to ministries, chief officers, basically saying, look, there are challenges down the road. We have lots of competing priorities. There are lots of things that we need to do, and we continue to invest really heavily in trying to support our people, which includes things like the scholarships, which includes things like social support. And you'll remember we recently did financial assistance legislation, which we're seeking to change the parameters around that and try to improve that, make it more effective, and target it specifically to the people who really need it, and hopefully take them out of a situation where they need to be supported, and maybe hopefully through various initiatives move them into like the regular workforce, where they can assist themselves with pride and to be able to help support their families more. And that's a process that, requires some degree of transition. But I sent this note out saying, don't spend if you don't have to spend. Let's try to control the growing level of requests and demands upon our resources. This is a fiscally prudent thing to do, right? We have had situations over the last 5 or 6 years where, the budget has grown by in excess of $100 million a year. And sometimes it's 80 million, sometimes it's 50 million, sometimes it's 120 or 130 million. Over the COVID environment, it increased significantly. And what I'm trying to do is trying to manage expectations and trying to introduce and sort of put some pressure on the concept of being efficient, being prudent, and not spending more than you really need to. And also, you came from the civil service. You know that there's a lot of speculation, not just from the political side, but even within the civil service. There's always speculation that people are saying, well, you know what? I'm going to spend my budget, everything I can out of my budget, because if I don't do that, I'm going to lose it.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we need to move to a point where people can feel comfortable that that type of perspective is irrelevant. That they will get what they need if it is demonstrated that they need it. So if you don't have to spend that amount this year, don't do it just because you want to try to protect your budget. Now, I know some of that is speculation, but there are elements of reality to it as well. So this was a desire to try to control that and try to introduce, this or emphasize this prudence. That memo was leaked out to the public. Big deal. So what? Am I proud of asking people not to spend money if they don't have to? Absolutely. But what gets worse is when you have some media houses who then go off and write stories and start speculating that the government doesn't have any money, that the country is broke, that civil servants are going to lose their jobs or they're going to get salary cuts and all this sort of stuff. Listen, this is not 2010. This is not 2008 or 9 or 10 or 11. We have not had a financial crisis that has impacted the world or certainly Cayman. But we do have growing demands, and we have the need to make sure that we assess those needs and use the resources that we have prudently to try to address them, that we prioritize. So that is what we have been doing. That's what we've been seeking to do. And every time we do a budget, every time we consider a budget, the requests are always, $100 to $200 million more than realistically what we should be doing. So the discussions around, you've been cutting the budget. No, we've not been cutting the budget. The budget is the budget. The budget is what's authorized by Finance Committee, authorized by Parliament. We have not gone back and said we're going to withdraw some of that authority. But I think you also know that even when you do have a fixed budget, every year there are requests to increase that. And there is a mechanism through which it can be done.
Right.
One is you can do it you can do up to 5% of revenue, and you can do that through cabinet. There is another process through which you can take the request back to Parliament, back to Finance Committee, and increase those spending. And every budget, every government has done that to some extent or another. So our reality is, while we set the budget, we need to make sure that we control the extent to which people come along and we approve additional spending that is over and above the budget. Let me give you an example. In 2022, the budget was $920 million, and we actually authorized at that time supplementary expenditure of $98 million. That was on the recommendation of the then Minister of Finance and at the request of different ministries. We all agreed to that. We only spent $51 million out of that $98 million. So that in itself is a reflection that you're really asking for more money than you can realistically spend, right? So we need to get better at that. We shouldn't be asking for money. We shouldn't be asking for another $47 million if we can't realistically spend it. So anyway, the bottom line is this. The budget for 23 has not been cut. Realistically, we're going to end up spending more than the 23 budget, which is $950 million. How much more is our challenge? And that's where I try to control the spending so that it is spent as efficiently and effectively as possible and not just spent just to make sure that people can justify their budgets going forward. So it is that process that I'm writing to and saying, please don't spend any more than you really need to. Think about what it is you need. We're not cutting. Our discussions around setting the budget going forward has nothing to do with cutting staff. We have said no to a number of civil service requests. Implicit in some of the requests for every new budget is a level of post that are indicated to be needed in order to deliver services. But OC, here's the reality. We have a civil service which is about 4,400, 4,500 right now. The request involves something in the region of 1,100 new posts.
Wow.
1,100 new posts. We cannot have 1,100 new posts, OC. So where would we put them to begin with? I don't know. That building is full. Where do we put them?
Yes.
Right?
And you're still renting outside our office space.
We have agencies that are outside as well. Even parts of ministries that are outside. So we have to manage these things, and these are requests, these are demands, these are statements of, if this is what you want to do, this is what we needed to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got to find ways of reducing those kinds of numbers, because that is where it gets unsustainable, OC. We cannot continue to grow the civil service to any drastic extent. We've got to find ways of keeping government as lean as possible, but remain effective. And we have got to make sure that the people that are hired are able to deliver those services as effectively and efficiently as possible. So the discussion has been, no, we can't have this kind of growth in the civil service numbers, and we have to make sure that we are as prudent as possible with our spending. I'm not going to apologize for any of it. That is what I should be doing. That's what the government as a whole and collectively should be doing. And we have been democratically elected, and we have the obligation to this country, to every single person in this country, to make sure that we are good, strong stewards of the resources of this country, and that they are applied as effectively as possible to help the greatest number of people and to achieve the best possible outcome for them, not just today, but going into the future as well. So, this concept that people are speculating around, and I've seen stuff in the press and some of the media houses about it, the country is not broke. People are not losing their jobs. People are not having their salaries cut. But yes, we may not end up having 1,000 new civil servants coming in, because that's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And we have other challenges. I mean, the healthcare cost that the country bears,
yes.
Particularly for indigents and those who can't, by their, not because of necessarily of any fault of their own, can't pay the health care that they need. That bill keeps going up astronomically.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a today issue. That's been
Yes.
going on for some time.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
recognized for years now that this line item of NGS 55 that keeps growing, substantially every year, we've got to find ways of managing that. So my colleague, Minister Turner, she was an advocate for adding wellness to health. So we're health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the wellness element is, how do we get our own people, how do we get everybody to be healthier, to eat healthier, to maybe exercise more, and just be in a position as we age, we're getting less sick, and we don't require the same level of dealing with these symptoms that we're having. We need to be able to try to encourage people to be more healthy and reduce those types of symptoms, and therefore reduce the costs on government to help people either save their lives or remain healthy. It's cheaper for us to work on initiatives to help people stay healthy than it is for some of these, ultra expensive things that are needed sometimes, whether it's drugs or whether it's surgery or some other kind of procedure to help restore people to health. So those are challenges that we have. We have to find ways of improving these things so that the long-term fiscal stability of the country is sustainable. And we also have all these additional needs. We have talked about, we need, for example, in education, as much as we've done in education, we need to replace one or two schools that are really old and that are in having problems, mold and all kinds of stuff. We need another primary school somewhere in the Savannah, Lower Valley area type of approach, catchment area, because while Panton is not entirely full, Savannah is full, and we need to expand that a little bit. But the real solution is to put a new school, primary school somewhere. We've got some really good new private sector primary schools that are going in,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to add fantastically to our capacity in that respect. But a lot of them are centered around Georgetown.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of our listeners want to know that one suggestion is that maybe some incentive should be given to the government departments that spend less than their actual budget, that some incentive should be to them. And then the other person wanted to know those Caymanians who are feeling more and more marginalized. What do you do about those, and whether or not those are part of your of the government's priority?
Yeah. Well, the answer is yes. Obviously, I mean we are concerned about people who are feeling marginalized. We are concerned about people who are feeling higher levels of anxiety, concern for their future, concern for the future of the country, concern for the future of the planet. These are all legitimate issues, and we continue to try to find ways to address those. We recognize that there's a multitude of needs, and it's about prioritizing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I want to do a national sort of priority project list, so that people in the country can be aware of exactly the types of things that government feels that they need to be addressing.
Yes.
And that's everything from a new police station to schools, to addressing these issues that I talked about in terms of mitigation, and building resiliency from climate change. We have some neighborhoods that are constantly flooding now from king tides and these types of things. So we have to look at all this stuff and figure out how to prioritize it. But I believe that if we can say to the country, here are the types of things that are on the agenda, this is how we seek to be utilizing our resources as effectively as possible to be able to deliver this. Maybe we have to consider how we because we haven't done any kind of revenue increases for more than a decade, I think. 11 years, 12 years, I can't remember exactly what it is. But whenever you talk about these types of things, you need to be able to say to the country, here's what we're trying to do, here are the issues, here are the types of things that we're trying to address, and make sure that we're able to deliver. And I think that builds a level of trust, right? Because people then know, okay, this is what government has on their agenda. I can see that. I see the need for that. I mean, we probably need another high school. There's a discussion about having a high school in West Bay, and trying to figure out how we fit that into the budget and start doing some of the preliminary steps to plan for that. So I don't know. These are all issues that that we have to confront and we have to deal with. And I believe the more we can inform the public, and the more we can be transparent about the various issues that we have to confront, and the more we can work together, because this is a shared obligation as far as I'm concerned, whether it's the private sector, whether it's public sector, government, and even just our own individual perspectives and our mindset and the way we look at things. Because I feel that while there are lots of realities around what people are feeling and seeing, I think a lot of it, there is a significant element of it as well, which is the way we think about things, the way we start speculating. I mean, I see a lot of conversations in the social media realm and otherwise, where somebody will say, this is a fact, and I know this is the case.
Yes.
And then they run off in these different angles. I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. That's not a fact. That's not a fact.
Yeah.
So, people need to be careful about how they say what a fact is before they run off on a tangent, because people can, human nature, your mind, your imagination can concoct all kinds of things. And that adds to your stress. That adds to concerns. That adds to or diminishes, I should say, your ability to appreciate where we're at. I mean, I don't want to be anywhere else in the world other than this country.
But Premier,
but we have to recognize we have challenges, and we have to deal with some of these things.
Now, with an election looming in the next 2 years, and talking about priorities. How do you achieve that? While we do have the PAC government, there is still that recognition that they're all independent. So there are certain things that they want to deliver as individual representatives as opposed to a government. How do you strike that balance? How are you able, to do that with an election year looming?
Well, see, I can tell you this much. I've been in the middle of a party, and now I have colleagues, Caymanians, all around me, who all want the best outcome, all want the best for our people. And whether you're a party or whether you call yourselves a group of independents, at the end of the day, you still have to confront certain realities. Not everybody's going to get what they want. Not everybody's going to be able to say, yeah, those 100 things that I might have talked about, I achieved every one of them. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And party or not, independent or not, you require everybody to be able to sign off on what you're trying to achieve here and there. So no one single person, not even myself as Premier, can say, I want to be able to say I delivered everything.
Yes.
Right? You can't. You have to come up with your priorities, and we all require each other to work together, to support each other to be able to deliver.
Good.
Right? That's the reality.
Yeah.
Party or not,
Yep.
independent or not, it does not matter. What matters is that you can work together as Caymanians. You can accept that we all have to play a part. You can accept that we can't all get what we want. You can accept that there should be an objective review and assessment of what the real priorities are, and you can commit to those to be able to deliver. Otherwise, you don't deliver anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, Premier, I want to give you an opportunity for some closing comments. And in those closing comments, if you could address one of our listeners' request, about possibly visiting the various districts at least, once per month. And then I think we had another observation in relation to the FATF, and they point out that when Cayman became technically compliant, the FATF introduced a new test for effectiveness and whether or not you think that they will again change the goalposts at some future date. Those two things in your closing comments.
Yeah. Well, okay, let me start with the last one then. The answer is it's hard to see what big approach, what big factor could be introduced, but it's an ongoing process, right? And I think whatever you want to say about some of the international bodies that are engaged in standard setting, they, I think, have to recognize and do recognize that when you set a standard and people achieve those things, you can't just turn around and say, we're going to move the goalposts, right? Yes, we have had some of that. We have had that. But there comes a point in time where you run out of room to be able to do that. And yes, it's going to be an evolutionary thing. There's going to be, further stages, further levels of compliance, and that's going to continue. Yeah. We know that there's going to be a 5th round of assessments, which is stepping things up a bit. But at this point, the big things like, okay, you're technically compliant, you have all the technical requirements in place, but now we want to see how effective it is. We kind of run out of room to really make those significant changes. Now it's going to be a process of evolution and just fine-tuning things. And I that's my perspective on it. And I think if anybody was to try to fundamentally change the approach, then they run the risk of everybody who's been participating in this in good faith saying, hey, this is nobody's acting in good faith here anymore. And you end up at the end of the day, you could end up with a completely dysfunctional world, just like you can end up with a completely dysfunctional body within your own country if people don't work together and introduce and build trust and demonstrate objectivity and be rational and reasonable and make sure that we can meet our expectations together and set our targets together and achieve those. So I'm not worried about that at this point. I'm just worried to make sure that what I think has been a great performance by this country and a lot of efforts by a lot of very good people, both in the public sector and the private sector, is reflected in the outcome of going from a situation where Cayman in January 2021, just before the election, was put on the FATF Enhanced Review List, and by the end of October of this year, once the plenary is complete, that we'll get the news that Cayman is now off the Enhanced Review List and that we're regarded in compliance. And all the signals, all the messages, all the statements, all the body language suggests that should be the case.
Great.
Yes, OC, I love to be able to travel around to every district in this country. I want to be able to go around to visit all the schools, and I want to be able to go and visit other places in different districts, and just be able to go and talk to this person and that person and stop here and there. Unfortunately, demands of time, to do things on the ground here in town, at the office, in my own constituency, and then internationally. It's always difficult to juggle it, but I'm going to try to set up a schedule and try to stick to that, where I can devote maybe, either part of a Saturday or part of a Sunday to go and do that.
Okay, well,
Right.
if not, no better platform than to do it here on Radio Cayman.
Yeah,
and in particular, I'm being, what should I say, biased in this case, but on for the record.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do so as well.
I
It'll be welcome
you
back
know
at
I
any
love coming
point in time.
joining
Yes.
Mr. For the Record. Absolutely.
Okay.
Enjoy that. And thank you for the opportunity
Thank
to be
you.
here. Obviously, the message that was clear to get out is to people, well, even within the civil service, the civil service need to have the comfort that what they've been hearing outside and the suggestions that people are putting around, that they're going to lose their jobs and they're going to have their salaries cut and all that. That's nonsense.
Okay.
Sorry. I want to put it no higher than that. It's nonsense.
Yes.
And it's irresponsible for media to start speculating about things like, the country is in trouble, that people may lose their jobs, that the country may end up losing its fiscal independence by having to be told by the UK what to do and all that. No, that's absolutely untrue. We're not in any position like that at all. And that all comes about just because somebody decides to leak a letter a memo rather that I sent around saying, spend less money if you don't need to spend it.
Yes.
What is possibly wrong with that, OC? What is possibly wrong
You
with
do that in your own household.
Be prudent. Yes, be prudent. I'm not asking them to be prudent so that the money can be thrown away. I'm asking them to be prudent so that the resources remain there for us to continue to help our people.
Exactly.
And to be sustainable and to demonstrate fiscal responsibility and a strong position going forward into the future for our country.
Thank you very much.
Long may God bless the Cayman Islands, OC.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Premier. Folks, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the Steps 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ca KY.com/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.